I want to talk about the new guy for the next chapter of Reckoning of Ragnarok. That will be chapter 53 and 50, no, sorry, 50, sorry, 54 and 55. And obviously this video obviously gonna be a spoiler if you don't have seen this leak yet for this new character that will fight. So Shi Di will be our next guy that's gonna fight. We don't know yet who he will fight. My prediction here that he will fight Apollo. That and that will be round number 8, I think. This is the round after Buddha and Hajun. And what I think Shi Di's ability will be in Reckoning or Ragnarok will be that he's gonna use martial art and poison. That the claws you can see here on his hands are, I think, are dipped in some kind of paralyzing poison. So when he scratch or when he stabs an opponent with this, the opponent will be affected of the toxic poison and this kind of thing. So this is where I think his ability will be, that he use poison and this kind of thing. Because yeah, we know that uh, in some culture when they use weapon, they dip their arrow tips or their blade, or is for example in India they dip the elephant tusk in poison. So when elephant attack somebody, they get damage or poison the enemy, or many other different ways using poison. That is just my This is just my speculation for Shishuang's D's ability. That he obviously is a total different thing from reality. In reality, Shishuangdi was not a fighter. He was a general, the first emperor that unified China from like around 223 BC. It was the first official imperial dynasty, very very shortly lived, but they have a very big impact on China even today, with everything, what how this writing system, the weighting system, the coin system, and all of this kind of thing was controlled under the Qin dynasty. Sorry, the Qin dynasty, the first dynasty, and this kind of thing. So yeah, and obviously, if Shishuangdi gonna fight Apollo, that means that Apollo gonna use some kind of fire arrows, or you can say sun arrow. But this sun is a big fire, yeah, fire arrows. And who I think will win? Uh, Obviously, I think Shishuangdi will gonna win over Apollo. I think Shishuangdi gonna stab Apollo in the neck and then kill him with poison. Yeah, I think yeah, and it looks like on this picture that Shishuangdi is gonna be a betrayer to humanity. That Shishuangdi will work with the guards, because within the side of the picture you see Ares, that Shishuangdi talk with Ares. Um, yeah, this is the only two picture of this chapter so far, of chapter 54. So that is the only information we know. The only thing that looks like that he is gonna work with the guards. That for example, Buddha was the guy that works with the human, and now Shishon instead will work with the guard against humanity. So if that is the case, maybe he's gonna fight some human, and that's not gonna be Apollo then. Who, the character, I think, if it's not Apollo Shishondi will fight against, the other one I think Shishondi will fight against is maybe Leonardus or Samahariak, or Nikola Tesla. Um, Personally, I think Nikola Tesla will work much better against Beelzebub, and I think Samahariak will work much better against Rasputin or somebody else, because I think they will use characters that are very different from each other when they're gonna fight each other with different types of kind of weapons. So I think if Apollo use arrows, I think they will have a character that is not gonna use arrows or long range weapon against other one with long range weapon. So I think it's more likelier that this guy will fight Apollo. But I absolutely can be wrong here. Um, so yeah, but this just look like, because of the picture that we see. If we can look at to find the picture, um, see here on the first one. So you see here on this second picture, you see here, this is Aries here, and this is Shishmandi. And the only wrong thing here is that there seems like there will be the next god to fight, and this is the wrong thing here, because Shishwangdi is not a god. Shishwangdi is a normal human that is the first emperor of China, so he's not a god. So that is the only wrong thing they say in this text, that he is a god. Maybe somehow in this manga they have give him the god title in some way, that he will be the first human that have get the title as a god in this manga. That can be a possibility. Um, the only the only thing I really bit worry about is that if Shizhuangdi will be fighting for the gods, also he will be fighting on the bad side with the bad guys, because the gods in Reckoning and Ragnarok are the bad guys so far. If not the demons, so before I'm talking about that, the demon will come, for example, as High June, and the demon will be the second faction, that some of the guards will join the demons, and some of the guards will join humans and fight against the demon. For example, Loki, Beelzebub, maybe Shishwangdi. All of these three characters maybe will be the devils. They will join up with the devil team, and the good guards will join up with the good humans. For example, with Salma Hayek, Nikola Tesla, and so on, will fight against. So this maybe will happen in the end of Reckoning and Ragnarok. That some, for example, like the real Reckoning and Ragnarok, that some guards, for example, like Loki, in the real like Viking mythology, that Loki was the father of the big snake Jormungandr, Fenrir, he and his daughter Hela, and so on. That is a possibility that we're gonna see Jormungandr and Fenrir also in this Reckoning of Ragnarok, and I think that is just my, maybe this is just my prediction here, that the two final bad guys in Reckoning of Ragnarok, this manga, will be Loki and Beelzebub, will be the final bad guys, and they somehow work with the demons. But obviously, when you have to throw everything that is about history accuracy out of the window when you read Reckoning and Ragnarok. They have nothing to do with the Viking mythology or nothing to do with historical accuracy about weapons, armor, how they really look like. You see, if you have a real picture of Shi Huangdi or a painting of him, you see that Shi Huangdi is totally different look on him in the old paintings comparable to this manga. This manga, he looked like some kind of K-pop or J-pop pop star. He don't look like the Chinese emperor at all. He have nothing with his clothing, the two claws, the bandana from for his face have nothing to do with how really the Chinese dress or look like in the real history. Like, for example, if you look at picture on, for example, Beelzebub or other good example, Hades, the only one that look like how they look in the like ancient depiction of is Hercules. This is the only one that look like the guy that you see in paintings or in like Roman or Greek sculpture. That is Hercules. That is the only guy that looks like a bit like how the stereotypical picture of Hercules, like a big muscle guy with a big club and some kind of lion mantle and all this kind of um but Chi is totally out of the window. How he looks like if you show this picture to a historian that is a history about Chinese history, and you take away the name from this guy, nobody gonna know that this is Shi Huangdi. Like, nobody gonna know this is Shi Huangdi. Nobody. Like, nothing what he have says that he's Shi Huangdi. Nothing. No, he don't have anything that gives way that he's the Chinese emperor. The only reason why we know that this guy is Shi Huangdi is because the undertext tells us that this is Shi Huangdi. That is the only thing. Like, like nothing here gives away that he is a Chinese emperor. Nothing. Nothing. The only character in Chinese history that have this kind of golden claws are not Shi Huangdi, is much later, and that is the emperor's mother, one of the emperor's wives. Nuksha is from the 7th century AD. Is the last empire of China. That is the only female. I don't know what I mean is that the only character in Chinese history that have this kind of golden claws, that are depicted with these golden claws, are a female, a famous. I think her name is Nuksha, and she was a common woman from the 17 to 1800 A.D. Under the Qin dynasty, the final imperial dynasty in China. She is the only one that are depicted with these kind of finger golden claws, and this was just a decoration. It was not a weapon. It was just a decoration that she have. She was not a fighter. She was just an old woman that was very smart to control power and this kind of thing. And obviously she was very anti-European, but she was very smart with it. She in secrecy she worked with the Boxer revolutionary, and the Boxers was a anti colonizing European faction. They fight against the European because when the European come to China, like the Germans, the English, and obviously the Japanese. When they come to China, they try to colonize China, and some of them forced their Christian religion on some of the Chinese people, and some of the Chinese people do not like that. They want to have their original religion in China. So there was a bit so this is a bit strange. So they give Xishuangdi more like the female empress in from the 7 to 1800. That decoration. So the style of the clothing is very modern for was Xishuangdi's time. So the clothing is much more like modern version of 18 or 1700 AD than from the early from like 200 BC. So this is very interesting. So nobody gonna know that this is Xishuangdi. Like if you know history and you know about history about Chinese history, you know about the weapons, the clothing, the royal clothing, the armor, everything you know that is have nothing to do how Chinese emperor really dressed, how they really look in reality. Um, so obviously is a manga, but this is yeah yeah is have this it have nothing to do with China. There is no thing here that gives away that this is about China. It's like um yeah no of the characters in Ragnarok look like they belong to a specific culture, and maybe some of them but it's very much manga design wise of the characters. Like the only one that maybe looks like they belong come from Greek mythology is maybe maybe in not in design wise, but in clothing is maybe Zeus and Aphrodite. Then I mean just the clothing. I don't mean anything else. I just mean the clothing. Then is maybe these two characters. Yeah, because if you look at Hades and you look at Poseidon, or you look at no other character. So that is like a K-pop design of the character. So so this is my this is where I think. And as I said before, she's only gonna where I think prediction here that he would use poison, and the poison will be on the tip, on these two finger claws. And it looks like what people say, that he gonna be a betrayer, that he will work with the guards, because he sits with one of the guards with Ares. So gonna be interesting who if he gonna fight some other guard, that if some more guard will join the humans for some reason. First, I think should be much better if, for example, Rasputin have joined the guards instead. Maybe this will be the case that she's only will be the guy that joined the guard. Sorry. Yeah. If I talks about this design, I personally I don't like the design at all. Because I think it should be much cooler if he looked like more, they gives him some more shiny imperial clothing instead, and make something from that. For me, right now, he looks something like a mixture between Kensei from Mortal Kombat and some kind of X-Men guy from like Cyclops, maybe Cyclops, or some guy from the X-Force. For me, it looks like exactly like Kensei Mortal Kombat, the guy that is blind can use his hand like with some kind of forced power and this kind of thing. For me, this that is just my personal opinion here. For me, this just give me some kind of a. They don't give me anything about China. This character, like anything. Like for me, it's like you take some character from the street. You take a picture of the character from the street, and you say this guy is from this dynasty, and you just give him some kind of famous king's name, and then okay, this guy. It's like uh it's like that. It's this like you give, for example, you do some kind of famous Viking, and you give the Viking some kind of sword that have nothing to do with the Viking period sword, like some kind of a like 16th century sword instead of the from like nine from 800 or 1000 AD, some kind of migration sword, and you give him a modern weapon like a Hillebard something like that, or a Zweihander, and you say this is the famous Viking. For me, it's like that. Is yeah, it looked like a classical superhero style fighting guy, like 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 everybody else, like everybody like Sasuke, um, Ichigo, Naruto, like yeah, yeah. So for me, it's like I don't. I, yeah, and you can see here on this guy's face, you can see that he have some kind of face tattoo. That it looks like he have like a centipede tattoo on his face, like crawling up on his face as a centipede. So that hints to that Shishuangdi would use poison if he have a like a centipede tattoo. So that probably he would use some kind of poison. So it's some kind of like maybe inspired like insect poison, like centipede poison, or maybe a wasp with the two gods, or yeah, this kind of thing. Um, yeah, so I look forward. Anyways, so I look forward to the chapter 54 and 55, and I think tomorrow the Japanese chapter will be out. If I'm not wrong, if they're already out, and 3 days later we're gonna have the translation in English, and then I'm gonna do the full review of about the chapter, and this kind of thing. Yeah, so yeah, Ragnarok is a very fun manga to read. These have nothing to do with history, but it's just fun to see uh, famous famous people from history and famous god from some from different mythology fight each other and this kind of thing. Um, but nobody gonna think, if they know history, gonna think that this guy is a Chinese emperor. The only thing that tells us that this is a Chinese emperor is the name. Uh, if you take away the name, nobody gonna know. Nobody gonna think like that. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Hope you like it. Bye.